guys, and welcome to my summer recommendations video. I'm going to be talking about my favorite books and movies to watch or read in the summertime. Usually when I make these videos in the fall, I always say get a warm, cozy beverage like a coffee or a hot cocoa or a hot tea. Today I get to say get something iced and sweet. I have an iced tea with me, one of my favorite things to drink in the summer. So anyway, I have this to enjoy while we talk. Am I making this video a little bit early? Yeah, probably. Spring is not my favorite here in the Midwest. It's a lot of rain and mud and honestly snow and cold too. I love May, but not so much March and April. Anyway, I'm like in a rush for summer to get here. I think we all agree that Memorial Weekend is basically the start of summer. So we're going to go with that today. We're only a couple weeks from that. And we're going to talk about all of the great summer vibes. I'm going to be talking about a lot of romance books and thrillers. Those are my two favorite genres. And then as far as my movie recommendations go, it's kind of just a mix of everything. So here we go. I don't want to talk a lot before starting because I've got a lot of books and movies to talk about today. My voice is just a little bit hoarse today, so I apologize for that. But let's get going on the recommendations. These are all movies and books that just bring me all that summer happiness. I feel like there's so many settings in the summertime that are just super fun. You can do summer camp, you can do vacations, the beach, camping. There's all kinds of things. You know, thunderstorms can be super atmospheric if you're talking about like a creepy book or something like that. These are all the books and movies that just, as soon as I think of them, it just puts me in that summer mood. It screams summertime to me. So let's start with books. So we're going to start off with some of my favorite summer romance books. And this first one is one that I read. It was during COVID. We were home all the time. I read like 40 books that year, which for me is quite a few. I was just reading all the time. And I had gone through this string of thrillers. I was on this thriller kick. And then in the middle of reading the thrillers, I just on a whim picked up The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And that was just this little ray of sunshine and happiness in the middle of my like thriller binge. And it was perfect. Sometimes I need like a little palate cleanser when I read a lot of thrillers right in a row. And this was perfect. Not only that, but it became one of my favorite romance books of all time. So the setup is there is a woman who has a twin sister. Her twin sister is getting married, having this beautiful wedding, and then she's going to go on this honeymoon to Maui. Well, at the reception, everyone ends up getting food poisoning except for our main character and the best man. They didn't eat, I can't remember what food it was that gave everyone food poisoning, but they were like some of the only ones that didn't eat it. Anyway, they hate each other. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers, which I love that trope. So yeah, they end up not having food poisoning. The bride and the groom are both like miserably ill, too sick to go on their honeymoon. So obviously you see where this is going. Our main character and her arch nemesis are the only two that are well enough to go on the honeymoon, basically. So even though they hate each other, they go on the honeymoon together. And it's just such a good summer read. You have all those tropical vibes. It takes place in Maui, and they're doing all these tropical things. And it's just such a cute story. I read it in like 2 days. Couldn't put it down. It was so sweet. If you have read a lot of Christina Lauren books, which I have, I've read most of them, they all kind of feel the same. They have, sometimes there will be like a little twist here and there, but they have kind of the same vibes, the same feelings. The characters feel a little bit similar, but I still love it. I still love it all. I love their books. It's actually two women who co-write these books together. So Christina Lauren, anyway, if you weren't aware. But The Honeymooners is definitely my favorite one. I just remember it was just, like I said, so sweet and happy and just the cutest thing. Was it predictable? Yeah, but I enjoyed the ride anyway. I feel like that's how a lot of romance novels are. You're reading them sometimes more for the vibes. And as we're talking about summer vibes, The Unhoneymooners is perfect. Okay, my next recommendation is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is my favorite romance author, one of my favorite authors, period. Christina Lauren is probably a close second, maybe Emily Henry, which we'll get to her later. But yes, I love Abby Jimenez's books. I've read all of them, including her newest one that just came out a month or two ago. It was excellent. I gave it 5 stars. But anyway, we're not talking about that today. We are talking about Just for the Summer. It is part of a 3-book series, which starts with Part of Your World. I can't remember what the second one is, but Just Friends maybe. And then the third one is Just for the Summer. You can read it as a standalone book. It's fine if you haven't read the other ones, but I will say there is one part of Just for the Summer that hits very different if you've read the rest of the series. I highly recommend reading the whole thing, but if you don't want to, you're not going to be really missing out on much plot-wise if you only read Just for the Summer. So anyway, the premise of this book, obviously it's a great summer book, you can tell by the title, but okay, the setup of this book is that it's about these 2 people, and they both feel like they have a curse, because it seems like no matter who they date, they'll date someone, then they'll break up, and then the next person that whoever they dated goes on to date, that ends up being like their soulmate. So it's kind of like I think the movie is called Good Luck Chuck, kind of the same premise. So anyway, they end up finding each other via Reddit, and the story just starts from there. Okay, so they decide maybe if they date each other, that will kind of cure each other, and then obviously the next person that they date will be their soulmate. It'll kind of like cancel each other out, if that makes sense. So that's what they plan to do. She is a traveling nurse and gets stationed near him in Minnesota. It's kind of interesting. It's the house she's living on is on this little island. She and her friend, her roommate, are living there for the summer, just for the summer, because she's a traveling nurse, hence the name. But she's also kind of dating, or I don't even know if it would be considered fake dating, this guy that she met on Reddit, because they're trying to cancel out this curse. Along the way, though, it gets a lot deeper than just like the surface level romance, which a lot of Abby Jimenez's books are. They bring a lot of heavier like subject matter into her books sometimes, which I really like. I like reading something that has a little bit more substance sometimes. But anyway, she ends up her mom ends up coming into town. She has a very dysfunctional relationship with her mom. He ends up becoming the guardian of his 3 brothers. So you have all these other layers going on with this situation. But it's so good. It's got, of course, the summer vibes. It all takes place during the summer. They live on that island, which just adds like a fun little touch. So they're going out and dating each other and getting to know each other on all these fun summer dates, and trying to cancel out the curse that they think they both have. It's super cute. There is like a twist in it that will make more sense if you've read the whole series. But I love it when romance books have a twist too. So this one, it was, like I said, so many different layers to it, but it was just such a good story. Such a good little twist at the end that I don't know if I'm stupid, but I didn't see it coming. I don't know if most people did. You'll have to let me know if you've read it, if you saw that twist coming. But I just thought it was so cool. It was just a really good book, and it goes a little deeper than some other, summer romance novels. My next romance book recommendation is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I told you we'd be talking about her. A lot of her books take place during the summertime. I love her writing style. It's just very like flowery and cozy, and she just writes in a way that it makes you feel like you're there in the setting. This one, I love it for the vibes, but also for the romance. I loved the chemistry and the romance in this book. It's honestly probably one of my favorite romance books of all time, not just my favorite summer romance books, but favorite romance books all the time. So Funny Story by Emily Henry. It's about this woman who I think she was engaged, not married. It's been a while since I read it, but she was engaged to this man, had this perfect life. And like really close to the wedding, he decides that he's actually in love with his high school sweetheart and that he wants to break up with her, and like immediately starts dating, I think even gets engaged to, I can't remember, his high school sweetheart. And she basically has to leave her house because it's his house. She has nowhere else to live. She kind of has to just start over in life. And the funny thing is that her fiance's new girlfriend, or fiance, I can't remember, her ex is also, now left, and he's living in this apartment alone now. So our main character ends up moving in with, this other man who just got left by her fiance's new fiance. It's confusing when I'm trying to explain it out loud. But one thing leads to another, and they get to know each other, and they decide it would be a good idea to do kind of like a fake dating situation. And they're going to go out. It takes place in the summer. So I think it takes place in Michigan. Let me double check that. Yes, I confirmed. It does take place in Michigan, like around I think it's like around the Upper Peninsula, which I've been there. It's beautiful. We went to like Mackinac Island a couple years ago, and it felt like we were at the ocean. It was as beautiful as the ocean. So you have all of those beautiful beachy vibes, lake vibes, I'll say, coastal vibes. That part of it's fun. They go out on all these dates and take lots of pictures and like post them on social media to try to make their exes think that they are starting a relationship too. So it's like a fake dating story. That is another one of my favorite tropes. And it's just so cute. I mean, another one that I couldn't put down. And I loved all the different like little dates they would go on and like hangouts, because it was very summery and fun in that way. So another one that I highly recommend. And while we're talking about Emily Henry, I've got another Emily Henry recommendation, and that is Happy Place. I haven't read all of her books. I've read like 3 or 4. All the ones I've read, I think, take place in the summer. So I don't know if all of her books take place in the summer, but I know that's like a trend with a lot of them. But this was my other favorite Emily Henry book. It's the first one by her that I read. And it's about this ex-couple, I guess. And they have this big friend group, and they've all been friends for a really long time. And every year they go on this summer getaway to Maine. So you've got those like coastal vibes too. And they all spend a week together in this house and just have fun together and escape the rest of the world. So this is the last year they're going to be able to do it though, because I can't remember who owns the house, but they're going to sell the house. So, and the only problem is they actually broke up a couple months ago, our 2 main characters, but they didn't tell their friends yet. And they don't want to like ruin the vibe for the week. And they don't want to tell their friends. They just want to pretend like they're still dating. So another kind of fake dating story, but a little bit different because they actually did date in the past. But it's just really sweet. It's got all those summer vibes. They're in a coastal town. I remember them just going out and hanging out and doing all these fun friend things during the summertime. And it seems the town that it takes place in was just really charming and cute. I remember one scene where they all like go to the movies together, and every day of their trip, they're just doing all these fun summer activities. And the way, again, Emily Henry describes everything, it's just so cozy and it feels like you're there. Even the way she describes like locations and even food and things like that. That's what I love about her writing. Lots of great vibes. So I think that's the end of my romance book recommendation. So we're going to move into thrillers. I feel like there are so many good opportunities for like thriller plots during the summertime and settings. You've got creepy thunderstorms, summer camp. There's so many things that can go wrong and be creepy about camp or even camping. So yeah, I love reading thrillers in the fall when they have those fall Halloween vibes. But my second favorite would be summer thrillers. So let's look at my list here. Of course, we have to have some Riley Sager books on the list. He's my favorite author. He writes amazing atmospheric thrillers. I have 2 on my list that I think are just perfect for summertime. The first one is The House Across the Lake. This one is a little bit of a controversial book by Riley Sager. I feel like people either love it or hate it. I loved it. If you've read any of his other books, this one breaks from the norm a little bit. I can't say how, or it would be a spoiler. But, I mean, it's about a lake house, so summer. Would it be a video of mine if Bruno wasn't in the background making noise? Probably not. But anyway, that's my dog walking around if you hear that. So this woman is recently widowed. She moves out to this lake house, and it's kind of secluded, which I love that in a summer setting when it's secluded and there's not a lot of people around. She's got this big lake, and across the lake, she has these rich, I believe they're like movie stars. Again, it's been a while since I read it, but they're a couple, and she's kind of spying on them a little bit because she has nothing else to do. So that's kind of her entertainment. And then one day, the wife she's out in the water. I can't remember. I feel like she's in a boat or something. I can't remember exactly, but she's out in the water. The wife from across the lake ends up almost drowning, and our main character saves her, and then eventually later goes missing, and then it's like this quest to find out what happened to this woman across the lake. When you find out, it's so mind-blowing, so like out there, so different for Riley Sager. I feel like I wasn't expecting it at all. So I really liked this one. I liked that it took place in a lake house. I read it during the summer. That is a really good summer book. What do you have? Bruno, could you like take a nap? Everyone else is napping. Can you? He says no. All right, let me get whatever he's chewing on. The next book is also a Riley Sager book. It might be my favorite book on this list, and that is The Last Time I Lied. It takes place at a summer camp, which I love it. Love that. It's about this woman who went to the camp when she was little. She was in a cabin with herself and 2 or 3 older girls. One night, everybody else that was in that cabin went missing. Still, all these years later, she doesn't know why. She has a lot of trauma around it. But she decided, they asked her to come back to the camp as, like, not a counselor, but I think she was leading, like, the art program for the camp that summer. So she comes back, and she thinks, I think maybe she's thinking that it's going to heal some of that trauma. She ends up somehow being placed in the same cabin where the girls went missing from all those years ago. The setting is just super spooky because it's a summer camp. I mean, I love that. But there's also this big lake, which is just very mysterious and weird. I remember the lake seeming really creepy in this book. And the thing I love about this book and a lot of Riley Sager's books is that the whole time you're reading it and you're like, what is going on? Is this something supernatural or is it something else? And I think that's what I loved about this book. You couldn't really tell what was really going on till the very end. There was like big twists, multiple twists. And I remember there was one twist real close to the end that I didn't see coming from a mile away. And it was one of those things I'm like thinking about. Bruno, I'm thinking about it like later that night, the next day, like, oh, that changes the whole story. It was so good. I loved it. Love that one. It's my favorite Riley Sager book, one of my favorite books ever. And this last book is my favorite book of all time. And that is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This book I read after a reading slump that lasted years, probably. I hadn't read a good book in so long. Somebody recommended this book, so I ordered it on Amazon, and it was during the summer, and I picked it up one night and like didn't stop reading it for a couple of days until I finished it. And what I love about this book is just the author, I believe, is she writes like nature books, like not like educational. books about nature typically. This was, I think, her only like fiction, like novel. It was her only novel as far as I know. And I think there has been some controversy about the author since then. I don't really know. Haven't looked into it much, but all that aside, the book itself is so good. The thing I like the most about it is the flowery language and the way she talks about nature. It takes place in, I think, South Carolina. Let me look it up. This one, it's been 6 years probably since I read it, but so it takes place, I just Googled it, so I had it for sure, the wild coastal marshes of North Carolina. So she lives like in the marshes. She lives in this old rundown shack. It starts when she's a little girl, and the book opens with her mom just leaving. Like, she watches her mom walk away, never to return. It's so sad. The whole story is gut-wrenching. So she's living with her father, who... What is Bruno doing? So anyway, she's raised by her father. It's a very dysfunctional. Her dad is like not at all raising her. Like, he's there physically. She's basically raising herself. And then eventually her dad leaves too. And then she's like, her siblings leave and she's literally there alone. And the loneliness she feels, it's like so, like I said, gut-wrenching. The way the author writes about it, like, you feel it too when you're reading it. But she also, it's this sad, sad story, but she also weaves in all this beautiful writing. But it's not just the writing, it's the plot of the story too. You have a love story. You have a murder mystery. And, you know, everything you could want in a story. I don't even know what genre to classify this in. It's just peak summer vibes. You got those coastal vibes again, but with such a beautiful story. Ugh, I loved it. The ending, again, was one that I was thinking about for days afterwards. It was so good. I think that's why I like it so much. Other than the writing, is the ending. Love an ending that I didn't see coming. So highly recommend that one. I know it's older, but it's my favorite book of all time, and I don't see it getting dethroned anytime soon. So that brings us to the end of my book recommendations. So let's get into some movie recommendations. So we're moving into movies. There's nothing I love better. And I feel sad because I feel like I don't watch movies the way I used to. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch some like series on Netflix and like Hulu and different things like that. I rarely sit down to watch a movie anymore, and that makes me sad. I need to do that more. But I love in the summertime, if there's like a thunderstorm during the day or late at night, just settling in, popping some popcorn, and watching a good summer movie. So here are some of my favorites. I have a couple kids movies on this list, and the first one is a kids movie. It might be kind of like a random one, but it is a Goofy movie. And I feel like it has kind of a cult following, but when I was little, when I first fell in love with it, I didn't know anyone else that like talked about this movie or liked this movie, but I remember, like, I don't know why it is such a strong memory in my mind, but it is. I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. My parents were going away for the weekend, and my sister and I were staying at my grandma's house for the weekend, or it might have been just the night. Bruno. So we were staying there for the night. And I remember back in the days of Blockbuster, my mom rented a Goofy movie to send with us to Grandma's house. So we'd have something to watch, probably so we'd kind of stay out of her hair a little bit. And I remember being like, almost feeling like I might be a little too old for it, like not being that excited to watch it. We ate dinner at Grandma's house. We put the movie in, and like my sister and I were just like in love with it immediately. First of all, the music. I can't play the music for you because of copyright. I'll get like a copyright strike, but if you know, you know. The music in that song, the music in that movie holds up to this day. I love it. I love it so much. Eye to Eye, that song, one of the best songs ever. As a 90s girl, I will stand by that. I am obsessed. And Emma, my younger daughter, middle child, loves this movie too, so I love to watch it with her. But anyway, it's just funny. I remember you know, in your grandma's house, it's like the coziest place in the world. I remember just laying there on the floor with my sister, watching the movie, laughing at it. And I would think the next morning we woke up and we watched it again. That's how much we loved it. Specifically, this one is fun to watch like the last day of school because it's about Max, Goofy's son. It's the end of the school year. He's like in love with this girl, Roxanne, I think. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. I think it's Roxanne. Guys, I'm getting old and I'm forgetting the names of things. If you were old enough to have watched a Goofy movie when it first came out, you're probably losing your memory like me too. But anyway, it's Roxanne. I'm almost positive. Anyway, he loves Roxanne. He does this like, he takes over the end of school year assembly and pretends like he's Powerline, which is like the coolest band ever, and gets in big trouble for it. So Goofy's like worried that he's going to be this delinquent, and he thinks, I need to get him off of this path. I'm going to take him for the summer. We're going to go on this epic road trip and go fishing together. Well, Max, who's like a teenage kid, doesn't want anything to do with that. But he lies to Roxanne and he tells her that they're actually going to the Powerline concert. So it's this whole, it's a summer road trip. First of all, I love that. It has all these fun little stops. It has, if you know the Country Bear Jamboree in Disney World, there's like a spoof on that with these like possums that they stop and go sing, like this roadside attraction. They stop and watch these like animatronic possums perform. I love that part. I think it's so funny. They go camping and meet up with Pete and JP, I think is his name, in their RV. They go fishing. And then I won't spoil the ending if you haven't seen it, but perfect for summer, perfect for last day of school because it literally is about like the last day of school leading into summer break. I have talked for 4 minutes about a Goofy movie, so we'll move on, but like it's just one of those movies. It wasn't even released in theaters. It was like straight to VHS, probably not even DVD. So you like aren't expecting it to be that good, but it is so good. To this day, I think it is an excellent movie. I love it so much. I'm glad that at least one of my kids also loves it with me so we can watch it together. Anyway, that's enough talk about a Goofy movie. Let's move on. The next one is just when I think about summer movies, this is one of the first ones that pops into my mind, and that is Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I liked both of them, the first one and the second one. But it's about these 4 friends, and during the summer, they're all going to these different locations, but they have this pair of jeans. Are you okay? Scared me. Okay, they have this pair of jeans that I think they find at a thrift store, and somehow, even though they're all different sizes, they fit them all when they try them on, and they're like these magic pants. So you're just following these 4 friends and their 4 separate adventures, kind of like a coming of age story. And it's just so much heartwarming summer goodness. I used to love Gilmore Girls, so I loved that Alexis Bledel was in it. And I believe it's the first one where she goes to like Greece. Those were my favorite scenes. And I remember the one friend is like stuck at home working in a grocery store. The one goes to soccer camp. The other one goes to her dad's house, which she normally is with her mom. And they all have all these kind of like subplots for each one. But it's all about their friendship and growing up together, and so heartwarming. I have not watched that movie in years. I need to watch it soon. I just love it so much. Definitely, no matter what your age, I think it's a good movie. But I think that's a really fun one. That'd be really fun to watch with Scarlett, my 11-year-old. I bet she would like it. So maybe we'll have to have a mother-daughter movie night sometime soon. I kind of forgot about this movie till I was making this video, so I'm glad I remembered it. And you know I can't talk about summer movies without mentioning The Notebook, obviously. This movie was like the quintessential romantic movie that came out when I was just at that age where I was loving romantic movies. I was probably falling in love with Luke around the same time that it came out. We started dating in 2004, so I will have to check and see if that checks out. But it's just so cute. Doesn't it start out in like a carnival? I remember he like climbs up on the Ferris wheel and asks her out, and it's just, I remember them like eating ice cream together and just doing all these fun summer things. It takes place a long time ago. It's about this rich girl and this poor boy who fall in love together, and the world does not want them to be together, but we all know that love is stronger than all of that. So I love it. Love all those cute summer scenes. I love their clothes. I love the setting. Then when they go out on the rowboat with all the ducks, or is it swans? I don't remember. Guys, I need to watch it again. But just one of the most romantic movies of all time. And oh my gosh, I forgot the whole element of it, that it's taking place way in the future when, what's her name? Allie? I think Allie. Allie has Alzheimer's, and oh my gosh, heart-wrenching. I had a phase where I wanted to name one of my kids Allie after seeing that movie. I loved it so much back then. I don't know if it would still hold up if I watched it today, but it's just such a great movie. Such a great movie for summertime. And of course, that's based off of a Nicholas Sparks book. Another book by Nicholas Sparks. Another movie that's based on a book by Nicholas Sparks that is great to watch in the summertime is A Walk to Remember. This movie, speaking of movies that came out during my adolescence that just broke me, this movie made such an impression on me. If you've seen it, you know it deals with grief a little bit. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I did not see it coming. I thought it was just like a chick flick. I didn't realize it was going to be sad. This was before I knew who Nicholas Sparks was when this movie came out. And I've never, to this day, never cried so hard in a movie. I was bawling like in the theater with all my friends. I remember going together. We were all bawling. Oh my gosh. If you know, you know. But it instantly became my favorite movie. I loved it so much. Loved Mandy Moore. Had the biggest crush on Shane West for years after that. It made an impression. So it's about this girl. She's kind of nerdy, which I kind of related to back in high school. Let's be honest. I was a little bit of a nerd. Not anymore, of course, back then. Anyway, I felt like I very much related to her. She was kind of quiet. She was a Christian. There are a lot of Christian themes in the movie. But anyway, this kind of nerdy Christian girl who's kind of shy, kind of like flies under the radar, which I felt was very much me in high school. And this boy who's like one of the most popular guys in school, he's kind of a troublemaker, gets in trouble a lot. They end up, as part of a punishment, he ends up having to be in the school play, which I want to say Mandy, what's her name? Jamie, the main character, Mandy Moore. Jamie is like the female main character. Landon has to be the male main character. They have to hang out together because she has to teach him his lines and stuff. And at the beginning of the movie, she's like, you just have to promise not to fall in love with me. And so you know what's going to happen from there probably. But it's just this sweet romance. And I can't remember if the whole movie takes place in summertime, but there's just this like montage in the middle of the movie. It just always screams like summer vibes to me. You guys know the moment when he puts like the butterfly tattoo on her shoulder and they go for this ride, and he helps her. She has this list of goals she wants to accomplish, and he goes through and tries to help her accomplish as many of those goals as he can. And it's just so sweet, and it's just like the perfect movie to watch in summertime. Don't watch it if you don't want to watch a sad movie though. But if you don't mind that, like, it's so sweet. Like, it's probably really cheesy. I think I started watching it last year, and just never finished it. I can't remember why, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is so cringy, but like it's still really super sweet. I love the school play. I love the music in it. That Mandy Moore song during the play, oh my gosh, I used to listen to that over and over and over and over. Like I thought I was Jamie pretty much. So anyway, huge connection to my adolescence, which is probably why I love it so much. But it's just a very, very sweet romance that takes place in the summertime that I highly recommend if you want to watch something super sweet, a little cheesy, and very sad. Okay, I'm going to try to like speed these last few up because I'm afraid this video is going to be super long. But next, we can't have a summer movie list without The Sandlot. Like that might be the number one like summer movie that just is like quintessentially summer. Another kind of coming of age movie. You've got the baseball like all summer long. There's like a 4th of July scene where there's fireworks and they're all at the carnival. And we all remember the pool scene where, what's his name? Can't remember his name. The one boy pretends like he's drowning. Just the perfect summer movie, and it's an all-around great movie. The Parent Trap is another one that I remember from my childhood. You've got a summer camp again. You have a camping trip. You have, the twins switching places. You've got it all. I like both versions. The old version with Haley Mills and the newer. I guess it's still newer than that one, but the one that came out in like the late 90s with Lindsay Lohan. Can't beat that for summer. I don't care what age you are. Those movies are so cute and heartwarming. Another one that's really sad. This is the first movie that ever made me cry. And it, again, like made such an impression on me. I was younger. I was probably like 9 or 10 when I saw this movie for the first time, but I just remember watching it in my living room with my family and I'm just bawling. So it's a sad one. It deals with grief too, like A Walk to Remember. But it's just so sweet, like 2 friends spending the summer together and just the sweetest little story. And the main character's name is Thomas J, which my son is Thomas James TJ. So I don't know, always makes me think of him. Another great movie. And then I just wanted to do I'm not a huge horror girl. I like thriller books, but I can't do movies. There's something about the visual part of it that I can't handle. Whereas when I'm reading about it and it's in my imagination, it doesn't affect me as badly, which you almost would think that would be worse. But anyway, I used to be a huge horror movie watcher. That sounded weird, but I used to watch tons of horror movies, especially when me and Luke were dating because he really used to like horror movies. So we'd watch them together a lot. As I've gotten older, I've realized like I can't do it anymore. It scares me too much. But anyway, there are a few horror movies that I wanted to mention that I think are great to watch in the summer. First one is another summer camp series, and that is Friday the 13th. So I feel like the Halloween movies are obviously like the slasher movies that are associated with Halloween time in the fall, which I love those movies too. But Friday the 13th is kind of the same thing, but for summer, because if you've never heard the backstory, which I'm sure you probably have, but there was a boy that supposedly died at this camp a long time ago because of negligence from the people that worked at the camp. And then way later, they decided to reopen the camp and all these horrible things start happening. So again, I probably wouldn't watch it now, but back when I used to watch horror movies, that's a good one to watch in the summer. Same with I Know What You Did Last Summer. What is the setup of that movie? It kind of reminds me of Scream. Like I remember watching those movies. I was probably like 16, just starting to watch scary movies. And I remember thinking, I Know What You Did Last Summer was so good. Obviously, there's summer vibes. I believe the backup is that this group of friends accidentally, I don't remember if they accidentally unalive this person. Again, I don't know what YouTube will let me say. Or if they just kind of let him pass away. I can't remember. It's probably been 15 years since I saw this movie. But then the next year they get like a note that says, I know what you did last summer. And then it's like a slasher movie. People start disappearing. But yeah, super summer vibes in that one too. And then obviously can't talk about summer horror movies without mentioning Jaws. I don't think I need to say much about that, but obviously that is a super quintessential summer movie too. So I do wonder how long this video is going to end up being because I feel like I've been talking for so long, but there's a lot of good summer movies and books to recommend. So hopefully I mentioned something that you've never seen before or read before that you'd like to check out. Please let me know your favorite summer books and summer movies too, because I'm always open to trying new ones. I would love to build up my TBR this summer to have a lot of fun, atmospheric summer thrillers and romance books. And same with movies. I would love to get into watching movies more again, especially in the summertime. So I might have to do that too. So if you're not yet, please subscribe. I make lots of movies about recommendations. I do a lot of lifestyle videos too and travel. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.